Welcome to the Sleepy Christian. Tonight, we will be talking about how to trust God when life feels uncertain. Let your body relax. Let your thoughts slow down. You are safe, you are loved, and you are held in the hands of the one who never changes. As you settle in, we will walk slowly through stories, scriptures, and quiet reflections, all guiding you back to trust in God's perfect peace. Have you ever noticed how loud the world can be when you're trying to be still? Even in the quiet of night, when everything around you has slowed down, your mind can keep racing. Worries about tomorrow, regrets from today, questions without answers. It can feel like the more you want peace, the more your thoughts protest. But what if the quiet isn't something to escape? What if that stillness, the silence that feels uncomfortable, is actually the doorway to something deeper, something sacred? There's a story in Scripture about the prophet Elijah. He had just come off a mountain-high moment of boldness and faith, but then fear crept in. He ran for his life, hid in a cave, and asked God to let him die. It was a moment of total collapse. Maybe you've felt that way. Maybe you've been strong for too long. Maybe the uncertainty around you has been louder than the faith within you. Elijah waited to hear from God. A great wind tore through the mountains, powerful and chaotic, but God wasn't in the wind. Then an earthquake shook the ground, and still, God wasn't in it. After that, fire blazed past him, loud, consuming, but God wasn't in the fire either. Then it came, a gentle whisper, not a shout, not a sermon, not a spectacular sign, just a soft, nearly silent breath of a voice. And that's where Elijah met God, in the kind of stillness that can only be heard when everything else has been quieted. It's a voice that doesn't demand your attention. It invites your heart to lean in, to listen, to be still. Maybe tonight, that's what God is doing with you, not overwhelming you, not bombarding you with answers, just whispering into the stillness. And maybe, just maybe, that whisper is all you need, because sometimes trust begins not when everything is explained, but when everything is silent. That's when your soul learns to hear again. That's when your heart remembers God is near. He's not distant or distracted. He's not only found in the thunder or fire or headline or chaos. He is present in the whisper. And tonight, while you rest, that whisper is enough. So as you lie there, let go of the need to fix everything. You've carried enough today. You've thought enough. You've done enough. Now is the time for quiet, not emptiness, but holy stillness. Let the whisper speak to the deepest parts of you, the parts that haven't known peace in a while. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You haven't missed your chance to hear from God. In fact, this quiet moment might be the very place He's been waiting to meet you, not with loud answers, but with a whisper that reminds you, you are loved, you are seen, and you are safe. Have you ever felt like you were walking through life without a map? Like everything you once relied on, your routines, your plans, your sense of control, suddenly slipped through your fingers and left you standing in a fog, unsure of which way to go? It's a strange thing, isn't it? How we can feel so confident one moment and so lost the next. Life has a way of surprising us, of disrupting what felt stable. And in those moments, when the familiar road disappears and nothing makes sense, there's a temptation to panic, to try to figure it all out, to grasp at answers. But what if uncertainty isn't a sign of something going wrong? What if it's a sacred space where trust can grow deeper than ever before? There's a verse in Proverbs that's been whispered by hearts for generations, especially in moments like this. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight. That kind of trust doesn't come easily. It's not passive. It's not about pretending you don't feel afraid or confused. It's about deciding, deliberately, to release your grip on the need to understand every step. It's about choosing to believe that even when you can't see what's ahead, God can. He always can. Think about it like this. When you're in the fog, it might feel like you're walking blind, but you're not alone. You have a guide who knows the path, even when you don't. He's not figuring it out as you go. He's already been there, He's already seen what's around the corner, and he's not in a hurry. He's not worried. He's simply asking you to take the next step. Just one. Not the whole journey, not the 5-year plan, just the next step of faith. And that step might be resting when you feel like striving. It might be praying when you feel like panicking. It might be holding on when you want to let go. You don't need the whole map. You just need the guide. The one who said, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." The one who walks beside you in every valley and over every mountaintop. Sometimes faith looks like motion. Other times it looks like stillness. Either way, when God is leading, you are never lost. You are never off course. You are never forgotten on the trail. And even when you wander, He knows how to lead you back. So let go of the pressure to have it all figured out. It's okay if you don't know where this is going. It's okay if the path doesn't make sense. It's okay if your heart is tired from trying to read a map that keeps changing. Tonight, you don't need to plan. You don't need to control. You don't even need to understand. You only need to trust that the one who made you, who knows you, who loves you, is guiding you, step by step, moment by moment, even now, even here. In the uncertainty, He is certain. In the confusion, He is clear. And in the silence, He speaks peace. Rest in that tonight. Let the fog settle around you without fear. Let the questions stay unanswered for now. The path will clear when it's time. And until then, the shepherd walks with you, and that is more than enough. Look at the birds. Just pause and think about them for a moment. Tiny, weightless, fragile, and yet they live without fear of tomorrow. They don't make to-do lists. They don't store up food in barns or stress about next week's weather. Every single day, they wake up and sing. Before they gather food, before they search for shelter, they lift up their voices in a song. Not because they know what the day will bring, but because they know who's bringing it. Jesus Himself told us to watch the birds. He wasn't giving us a lesson in nature. He was inviting us to learn how to trust. Look at the birds of the air. He said, "They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they?" There's something deeply comforting about that image. Birds don't have jobs. They don't have savings accounts. They don't have calendars full of meetings, but they do have a Creator who provides, day by day. They never wonder if He'll show up. They don't question whether they'll be cared for. Their wings were made to fly, but their lives depend on trust, and they don't resist it. How often do we try to do what only God can do? How often do we carry burdens we were never meant to bear? We try to secure the future, control the outcome, manage all the risk, as if our striving can guarantee peace. But the birds remind us of a simpler truth. God provides, not always early, not always in the way we expect, but always. And that's not just a poetic thought. It's a promise straight from the mouth of Jesus. The next time you feel overwhelmed, when fear creeps in, when bills pile up, when the future feels like a storm on the horizon, remember the birds. Remember how light they are, how vulnerable they seem, and yet how deeply cared for they are. You are worth more than every bird that's ever flown across the sky. Your needs matter. Your life is seen. Your worries are not overlooked. You have a Father who notices every detail, every ache, every sigh in the dark. And He's not asking you to figure everything out tonight. He's not asking you to store enough peace to last a lifetime. He's simply asking you to rest, to trust that He'll meet you in the morning, just like He always has. God never promised a life without trouble, but He promised presence, provision, peace. The birds aren't spared from the wind, or the rain, or the cold, but they still sing. Not because everything is perfect, but because their hearts are free. That's the kind of freedom God wants for you. Not a life without uncertainty, but a soul anchored in trust. You may not know what's coming next, but you are not drifting alone. The same God who feeds the birds, who clothes the lilies, who paints the sky in morning light, He is watching over you right now. So let your spirit quiet down. You don't have to hustle for your worth. You don't have to perform to be loved. Your Father already knows what you need. He's already preparing tomorrow's manna, tomorrow's mercy, tomorrow's peace. Tonight, your only task is to rest in that, to remember that you are deeply known, deeply valued, and never forgotten. You don't have wings like the birds, but you do have a promise, and it's even better. You are held by the hands of a God who provides, who sustains, who sings over you as you sleep. Let that be enough. Let it carry you into rest. Let it remind you, if the birds are cared for, you will be too, always. Faith in the middle. It's easy to believe at the beginning, when hope is fresh and excitement fills the air. It's easy to trust when the journey starts with open doors, clear signs, and everything seems to be unfolding just right. And it's often easier at the end too, when prayers have been answered, when you can look back and see the faithfulness of God written across every page. But what about the middle? The long, quiet stretch between the promise and the fulfillment? That place where answers haven't come yet, where prayers seem to hang in the air unanswered, where your heart aches with questions that heaven hasn't spoken back to. That middle place is where faith either deepens or fades. It's the stretch of road that tests your trust, because it's where most of life actually happens. The middle is where Abraham waited year after year for the son he was promised, walking through decades of uncertainty. The middle is where Joseph sat in a prison, forgotten and misunderstood, even though he had a dream from God. The middle is where Moses wandered in the desert, leading a people who constantly questioned the path ahead. The middle is where Jesus knelt in Gethsemane, with a cross before him and silence from heaven. The middle is not a mistake. It's not a punishment. It's a process. It's where trust is forged, not in the fire of instant answers, but in the long burn of obedience, even when you don't feel anything at all. Faith in the middle is not loud. It doesn't always look impressive. Sometimes, it's just showing up, taking the next step, saying the next prayer, whispering, "God, I still believe," even when doubt knocks on the door. Hebrews 11 gives us that beautiful definition. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Not seen, that's the part we don't like. We want to see the plan. We want to understand the reason. But real faith isn't built on what you can see. It's built on who you know God to be. And in the middle, that's where you get to know Him most. Not just as the God of blessings, but as the God who stays, the God who sits with you in silence, the God who weeps when you weep, the God who carries you when you can't take another step. And when everything around you says, "Give up," faith in the middle whispers, "Hold on." You don't need all the answers to trust. You don't need to feel strong to keep going. You just need to keep walking, even if it's slow, even if it's shaky, because the middle is not forever. It's not the whole story. It's just a chapter, and God is the author. He knows the ending. He's already there, and He's guiding you through every unknown moment with more care than you could ever imagine. The truth is, some of the most beautiful miracles don't happen at the end of the story. They happen right in the middle, when you choose to believe before the breakthrough comes. When you trust that the God who began a good work in you will be faithful to complete it. So tonight, if you find yourself in the middle, take heart. You're not lost. You're not forgotten. You're not off track. You're exactly where God is shaping your faith, deepening your roots, preparing you for what's next. You don't have to see the full picture. You just have to stay close to the one who holds it. Let the middle be a place of surrender. Let it be a place of quiet confidence. Let it be the place where your soul learns, maybe for the first time, that trust doesn't always come with answers. It comes with presence, and God's presence is here, even in the waiting, especially in the waiting. So breathe deep, let the fear fall away, and rest in this truth. Faith in the middle still counts. Faith in the middle still pleases God. And faith in the middle is never wasted. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. Words so familiar, yet still so powerful. Sometimes we hear them and forget just how personal they are. Not poetic ideas, not abstract comforts. Real promises from a real shepherd who knows exactly what your soul needs. And right now, maybe what your soul needs most is stillness. Not the forced stillness of exhaustion or the kind that comes after you've run out of options, but the kind of stillness that invites you to breathe again, to lay down your burdens and be gently reminded that you were never meant to carry everything. Green pastures don't just appear in the middle of chaos. Still waters don't rush. They wait. And the shepherd? He doesn't drive you forward with pressure or demand. He leads, slowly, kindly, carefully. He leads you to rest, because he knows how hard life can be. He knows the weight you carry, even the invisible kind, the mental load of decisions you've had to make, the emotional toll of disappointment, the pressure to be strong for everyone else, the fear of what might come next, the sadness that creeps in when no one else sees. He sees all of it. And instead of giving you more to do, he offers you a place to rest, a quiet place, a safe place. Maybe you've been walking through a dry season. Maybe your days have been filled with uncertainty, your nights haunted by unanswered questions. Maybe you've tried to push through, to stay busy, to manage it all on your own. But the shepherd isn't impressed by performance. He's not waiting for you to get it all right. He's waiting to restore your soul. And restoration doesn't come through striving. It comes through surrender, through laying down, not because you're giving up, but because you're finally giving in to grace, to gentleness, to the deep truth that you are not alone in this journey. Imagine for a moment those green pastures, the way the grass moves slowly in the breeze, the way the sun warms the earth, the way the air feels light and full of peace. No demands, no deadlines. Just stillness. You're invited to lie down there, not to hurry through, not to peek in and keep walking, but to stay, to breathe, to let your mind unclench and your heart exhale. And beside those pastures, there's water, still, calm, clear, the kind of water that reflects the sky, that soothes the soul, that doesn't rush past you but welcomes you to pause. This is the place your shepherd leads you to, not with urgency, but with understanding. He doesn't expect you to have it all figured out. He doesn't need you to be perfect. He just wants you to be close, close enough to hear his voice, close enough to feel his peace, close enough to remember that no matter how loud the world becomes, there is a place of quiet designed just for you. That's what it means to be led beside still waters. It's not just about rest. It's about relationship, about learning to trust again, to listen again, to let him carry you, speak to you, care for you in ways you didn't even know you needed. And when your soul is tired, truly tired, not even sleep is enough. You need more than rest. You need restoration. And that's what he gives. He restores your soul, not by fixing every circumstance overnight, but by reminding you that even in the middle of your chaos, you can have peace. You can lie down in the presence of your shepherd, even when the world feels out of control. You can drink from still waters, even when storms rage around you. You can be restored because he is with you and he is faithful. So tonight, release the urge to keep going. There is nothing more you need to do right now. No more striving, no more trying to make sense of everything. Just rest. Let your mind wander to green pastures and still waters. Let your soul be still, knowing that the one who leads you is gentle, kind, and full of mercy. You are not forgotten. You are not unseen. You are deeply loved by a shepherd who never sleeps, never leaves, and always knows the way to peace. Let that truth hold you tonight, and let your soul be restored. Some nights feel longer than others, not because the clock moves slower, but because your heart feels heavier. You lie there, staring at the ceiling, turning over thoughts that refuse to quiet down. You replay moments from the day, wondering if you said the right thing, if you did enough, if you missed something important. Or maybe you're thinking ahead, imagining scenarios, asking what ifs, wrestling with possibilities that might never happen. The night has a way of making everything feel bigger, doesn't it? Worries grow louder, emotions feel sharper, questions echo longer, and even though the world around you is silent, inside, it can feel like a storm is raging. You want to rest, but your mind is wide awake. You want peace, but it seems just out of reach. In the middle of the night, it's easy to feel alone. Everyone else is asleep, The world feels distant. You can't call anyone. You can't fix anything. And it's in these quiet, weary hours that your soul cries out for comfort. But it's also in these hours that God often draws near in the most tender ways. The psalmist wrote, "Weeping may last for the night, but joy comes in the morning." It doesn't say the night will be easy. It doesn't say you won't cry or question or wonder why things are the way they are. But it does promise that morning will come, light will return, and in the darkness, you are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. God is not only present in the bright, victorious moments of your life, He is especially present in the long, hard nights. The kind of nights where you're too tired to pray out loud, where all you can manage is a quiet whisper of His name. That's enough. He hears it. He understands the prayers you can't form. He sees the heaviness you can't explain, and He doesn't wait for you to pull yourself together. He comes close right where you are. Even when it feels like nothing is changing, even when the night seems never ending, He is working. He is holding you. He is speaking peace over your restless mind. You don't have to force your thoughts to disappear. You don't have to pretend you're okay. You are allowed to feel overwhelmed. You are allowed to admit that you're tired. But you are also invited to rest in the truth that you are not carrying this night alone. God is not watching from a distance. He is right here, in the room with you, watching over you, whispering calm into the chaos of your thoughts, guarding you with a peace that doesn't always make sense, but is always available. Maybe you've had nights like this before, and maybe you've made it through every single one of them. You didn't think you would, but somehow you did. That's not a coincidence. That's grace. Quiet, steady, sustaining grace that carried you through without applause or recognition. The same grace that carried you then is with you now, and it will be there again tomorrow. Because God's mercies are not limited, they're not used up. Scripture says they are new every morning, not recycled, not rationed, new, fresh for you, ready to meet you with the exact comfort you'll need. You don't have to reach backward to find peace. You don't have to wait months for relief. You simply have to hold on through this night and remember that morning always comes. When the sun rises, your circumstances might not change immediately, but your soul can. Your heart can start to feel lighter. Your thoughts can start to slow. You'll begin to see glimpses of hope again. That's the miracle of the morning. It doesn't erase the night, but it gives you strength to keep going. So tonight, as you lie in the dark, let yourself be still. Let the weight of the day fall from your shoulders. Let your breath slow down. God is not asking you to be strong right now. He's not asking you to fix everything before you sleep. He's just asking you to rest, to trust that He is watching over you, that He knows what you need, that He has not left you, even for a moment. So even if the night feels long, even if your heart is heavy and your thoughts are tangled, you are held, you are loved. You are not walking through this darkness alone. And soon, very soon, morning will come, light will break through, and until then, you can rest safely in the arms of the one who never sleeps, never forgets, and never lets go. There is a kind of peace that doesn't make sense, a kind of calm that settles over you, not because the storm is over, but right in the middle of it. A quiet confidence that whispers, "You're going to be okay," even when nothing around you has changed. This peace doesn't come from reasoning your way through your problems or predicting every possible outcome. It doesn't come from securing all the answers or locking down every detail of the future. It comes from something deeper, something divine, a kind of peace that can't be explained, only experienced. And the beautiful truth is, it's available to you right now, not after everything is fixed, not after the anxiety fades, or the problems disappear. Now, right here, in this exact moment. The Apostle Paul wrote about this peace in his letter to the Philippians. "Do not be anxious about anything," he said, "but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." Then he makes a promise, not that every prayer will be answered exactly as you hope, not that life will unfold just the way you planned, but something even more profound. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. That kind of peace doesn't wait for circumstances to change. It doesn't rely on logic. It surpasses understanding, which means it shows up where it shouldn't and stays longer than you expect. Maybe you've been searching for that kind of peace. Maybe you've tried to find it through control, trying to manage every detail, stay ahead of every problem, avoid every risk. Or maybe you've tried to find it through distraction, keeping your mind busy, your schedule full, your thoughts anywhere but here. But peace doesn't come from doing more. It doesn't come from trying harder. It comes when you release, when you open your hands and say, God, I don't know how this will work out. I don't understand why it's happening, but I give it to you. That surrender, quiet and invisible though it may be, is the door through which peace enters. Think of peace not as the absence of trouble, but as the presence of God, a God who sees everything you're facing, who knows the weight you carry, who understands every emotion you don't know how to express, and who is not in a rush to fix you. He's just here, with you, offering rest for your soul, offering peace for your mind, offering love that holds you even when everything else feels uncertain. That's the kind of peace that can't be explained. It's the kind of peace that makes people wonder how you're still standing. It's the kind of peace that holds you together when the world around you is falling apart. And you don't have to earn it. You don't have to prove you're strong enough. You don't even have to know exactly what to pray. Sometimes all it takes is a breath, a quiet moment of turning your heart back toward Him, a whisper of, "Help me." That's enough. He hears, He responds, not always with answers, but always with Himself. And where He is, peace follows. Not temporary peace that fades with the sunrise, but lasting peace that remains, that wraps around you like a warm blanket on a cold night, that steadies your thoughts, that gently untangles the fear you've been carrying and replaces it with quiet assurance. So let yourself feel that peace tonight. Let it guard your heart, which has been bruised by disappointment, worn thin by stress, and stretched by uncertainty. Let it guard your mind, which has tried so hard to figure everything out, to plan for every scenario, to hold every thread together. Let it cover you, not because everything is fine, but because you're held by the one who is. You are not alone in your questions. You are not stranded in your fear. God is near, and His peace is real. It's not an idea, it's not a wish, it's a promise, and it's yours. All you have to do is receive it. So breathe deeply. Let the worries of the day drift into the hands of the one who never sleeps. Release the need to understand everything right now. Let go of the fear that creeps in with the night. You are safe. You are loved. And you are surrounded by a peace that doesn't make sense, but is completely, beautifully real. Let that peace be your comfort tonight. Let it carry you into sleep. Let it stay with you into the morning, because it's not just peace for now, it's peace for every moment ahead, and it's already yours. There's a moment we all come to, sooner or later, when we realize we're not meant to carry everything. We try. We really do. We try to hold it together for the people we love. We try to manage the bills, the decisions, the emotions, the expectations. We try to fix what's broken and plan what's uncertain. We try to keep up appearances, smile through the pressure, stay strong even when we're falling apart on the inside. But it gets heavy, slowly, then all at once. You start to feel it in your body, tension in your shoulders, restlessness in your sleep, that deep, unshakable weariness that lingers no matter how early you go to bed. It's not just physical tiredness. It's the weight of control, and control, though it promises safety, often delivers the opposite. It leaves you feeling anxious, overwhelmed, and alone. Because the truth is, you weren't designed to be in charge of everything. You were never meant to carry what only God can hold. There's a reason Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Not just relief, not just a moment of pause, real, soul-level rest. Rest that reaches into your spirit and whispers, "You don't have to do this by yourself anymore." But notice what comes first. He says, "Come to me." It starts with surrender, with letting go, with loosening your grip on the things you were never meant to control. That might feel scary at first. We get used to holding on, We think if we let go, everything might fall apart. But maybe things are already falling apart, precisely because we're holding on so tightly. Maybe freedom begins the moment we stop trying to manage everything and start trusting the one who holds all things together. God isn't asking you to abandon responsibility. He's asking you to trust him with the weight of it, to give him the anxiety beneath the decisions, the fear beneath the planning, the exhaustion beneath the doing. He's not interested in your performance. He's interested in your heart. He knows how tired it is. He knows how much you're carrying, and he's not disappointed in you for struggling. He's inviting you to come and rest, not after you finish your to-do list, not after everything's resolved. Right now, in the middle of the mess, in the tension, in the questions. Come as you are, with empty hands and a weary heart. Lay it all down. Letting go isn't failure. It's faith. It's choosing to believe that God is strong enough to handle what you cannot, that he's wise enough to see what you can't, that he's good enough to want what's best for you, even when it doesn't match your timeline. And maybe tonight, letting go looks like a simple prayer. God, I can't carry this anymore. Maybe it's whispering, I trust you, even when I don't understand. Maybe it's just choosing to sleep, even though part of you wants to stay up and keep worrying. That's what surrender looks like. Small, sacred acts of trust that say, you are God, and I am not. And that's not just okay, it's good. There is no strength in pretending you don't need help. Real strength is found in surrender, in placing what's heavy into hands far more capable than your own. You are not abandoning your life, you're entrusting it to the one who gave it to you. And he doesn't fumble what you place in his care. He doesn't forget what matters to you. He sees it all. He sees your effort. He sees your heart. And he's not asking for perfection. He's asking for surrender. He's not watching to see if you'll fail. He's waiting for you to let him be enough. So tonight, you have permission to rest, to release the weight of control, to remember that God never asked you to figure it all out. He asked you to follow him, one step at a time, one day at a time. He knows the next step, even when you don't. He sees the full picture, even when you can only glimpse a corner, and he holds the future, even when it feels like it's slipping from your hands. You can let go now, not because everything is fixed, but because you are safe, because you are loved, because the one who holds the universe also holds you, and he will not let you fall. Let that truth settle over you. Let it calm your thoughts. Let it soften the tension in your chest. Let it carry you into sleep. You are not in control, and that's the best news of all. Because the one who is good. It's hard to hold on to hope when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. When the plans you trusted crumble. When the people you relied on walk away. When the dreams you carried quietly in your heart suddenly seem out of reach or completely gone. It's in those moments, when everything feels uncertain, when nothing seems to make sense, that doubt begins to whisper. Maybe this is all random. Maybe nothing good is coming. Maybe God has forgotten. Maybe the plan has been lost, ruined, broken beyond repair. But those whispers, as convincing as they sound in the dark, are not the truth. The truth is found in the words God spoke through the prophet Jeremiah to a people living in exile, a people who had lost everything they thought they'd have. A promise that still echoes into your life tonight. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Notice how God says it. I know the plans I have for you. He doesn't say, I'm figuring it out as I go, or I had plans but you messed them up, or there was a plan but circumstances ruined it. No, he says, I know. His knowledge is perfect. His vision is complete. There is not a single piece of your life that is unclear to him. Not the detours, not the heartbreak, not the seasons of silence. And these plans, they are not careless. They are not random. They are not fragile. They are filled with hope, even when you can't see how, even when all the pieces don't seem to fit. God's plans are still good, even when you're standing in the middle of what looks like a mess. Sometimes we assume that God's plan will mean comfort, clarity, smooth paths, but more often, his plan leads us through places that stretch us, refine us, change us. not because He's punishing us, but because He's preparing us, because He's more committed to your purpose than your temporary comfort. And yet, even in the stretching, His goodness never leaves. His mercy never runs out. His love never walks away. God isn't good only at the finish line. He's good in the waiting, good in the heartbreak, good in the questions. And His plans for you don't evaporate when life gets hard. They don't disappear when things don't go your way. They are rooted in a deeper soil, the soil of His unchanging character, His faithfulness across generations, His ability to take what looks broken and make something beautiful from it. If you've been walking through a season that feels aimless, where nothing seems to be moving forward, and you can't trace the hand of God, hold on to this. Just because you can't see the plan doesn't mean there isn't one. Just because you feel stuck doesn't mean God has stopped working. He sees 10 steps ahead, 100, 1,000, and He weaves every moment of your life, every joy, every loss, every small, quiet decision into something that serves His purpose and reveals His goodness. Sometimes the plan includes pruning. Sometimes the plan includes silence. Sometimes it looks nothing like what you imagined, but it is never without meaning, never without redemption, never without hope. You might feel behind. You might wonder if you've missed your moment, if a wrong turn ruined everything, but God's plans are never so fragile that a single failure can unravel them. He is a redeemer. He builds beauty from ashes. He writes resurrection into the places that seem dead. He can restore what was lost and bring new life where you thought there was only ruin. That's who He is. And that's what He's doing, even now, even here. So if your heart is heavy tonight, if the future feels foggy, if the path ahead is unclear, let this promise sink deep into your soul. He knows the plans He has for you, not vague hopes, not loose ideas, but intentional, loving, wise plans that will unfold in His perfect timing. You don't have to know the whole story. You just have to trust the author. He's still writing. The chapter you're in right now, no matter how confusing, no matter how painful, is not the end. It's part of something bigger, something beautiful, something eternal. Let yourself rest in that. Let the pressure lift from your shoulders. You're not behind. You're not disqualified. You're not lost. You are held by a God who is always on time. A God who sees the road ahead. A God who calls you by name and speaks over you with gentleness and strength. I know the plans I have for you. Plans to give you hope. Plans to give you a future. Let those words settle into the deepest places of your soul tonight, and let them carry you into rest. The plan is still good. The future is still full of promise, and the one who holds it all holds you. There is something sacred about the moment, right before sleep. That quiet hush, when the world slows down, when the noise fades into stillness, when the weight of the day begins to slip away, and all that's left is breath, softness, silence. You've made it through another day. Maybe it was filled with joy, or maybe it was difficult. Maybe it left you full of gratitude, or maybe you're still holding on to questions, heartache, or worry. Either way, you are here now, in this still moment, and that is enough. You don't have to do anything more tonight. You don't have to carry any more decisions, solve any more problems, or push through one more task. This is your time to rest. And not just physical rest, but rest for your mind, your heart, and your soul. God is not waiting for you to rise early with energy and strength before He meets you. He is not standing at the end of your efforts demanding more. He is here, now, in the softness of this moment, whispering over you, "You are mine, you are loved, you are safe." Sleep is not a waste of time. It is not weakness. It is a holy rhythm designed by God Himself, a reminder that you are human, that you are finite, that you were never meant to run endlessly without stopping. Rest is a gift, and sleep is a declaration of trust. Every time you close your eyes and release your grip on the day, you are saying without words, "God, I believe. You'll take care of what I can't. I believe that while I sleep, you'll keep watch." The psalmist says, "In peace I will lie down and sleep. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety." That's not just poetry, it's a promise. God does not clock out when you close your eyes. He does not leave you alone in the darkness. He watches over you with the kind of attention that never fades, never tires, never grows impatient. He sees you fully, your thoughts, your feelings, your dreams, your burdens, and still, He speaks peace. He surrounds you with His presence like a soft blanket, tucking you into grace, breathing over your soul the peace that the world cannot give and the night cannot steal. So tonight, let yourself rest in that presence. Let the truth of who He is and how deeply He loves you become the ground beneath your dreams. You are not alone, not now, not ever. He is with you in the silence, in the shadows, in the stillness. Even if you wake in the night, even if your sleep is interrupted, even if your mind stirs with restless thoughts, He is still there. Unmoving, unshaken, unchanging. He doesn't grow distant in the dark. In fact, the darkness is as light to Him. He sees perfectly. He understands completely. He holds you gently. There is no need to perform for God in the night. You don't have to find the perfect prayer. You don't have to explain your heart with eloquence. He knows already. He understands the sigh that never became a sentence, the tear that never reached your cheek, the thought that flickered for just a moment and disappeared. He holds all of it. And as you drift towards sleep, He holds you, not just your body, wrapped beneath blankets, but your heart, your soul, your spirit. He cradles you in compassion, in patience, in kindness. There is no fear in His presence, no shame, no striving, only stillness, only safety, only love. So breathe in slowly, let your shoulders fall, let the air move through you like a river of peace. Everything you didn't finish today, everything you still don't know, everything you're tempted to worry about tomorrow, lay it all down. Not one of those things is too big for God. Not one of them surprises Him. You can let go now, because He never will. The hands that formed the stars hold you gently now. The voice that calms the seas sings softly over your soul. And the heart that loved you before time began beats with you even now, steady and true. You are safe in His arms, no matter what today held, no matter what tomorrow may bring. You are wrapped in the care of a shepherd who never sleeps, who never leaves, who never grows weary of watching over you. So sleep now, not as someone escaping, but as someone held. Let every breath be a reminder. You are loved more deeply than you can imagine. You are guarded more closely than you can see. You are being restored, gently, completely, tenderly, by the one who called you His before the world began. Sleep in His arms. You are home, you are His, and you are never alone.